Lisa. I have 3 photos, actually 4 photos, from my stepdaughter from something called a color run. And I gather this is some sort of run for charity where some type of color was thrown on the participants. I think I've seen these online. It's not something I've ever seen in person. I don't know a lot of details about it, but I have some fun photos. And when I went looking for colorful photos to go with the shirt and the concept, this Bow Bunny paper was just perfect. I just love this paper for this particular photo. This line is very, very bright. This particular paper wasn't quite as bright as some of them, but still a lot of good color here. I also, though, even before I went looking paper, had the thought of maybe doing something where I splattered paint or ink or something onto the background. So I'd really like to do kind of both things. And I don't want to try to splatter paint onto this background because I might not do a good job and I only have 1 sheet of it. And there's already a lot of color there. So, and I don't want to try it on top of my photos, I just don't want to have to bother reprinting them in case I screw it up. So I got to thinking that another way I could do this is to use a transparency sheet and lay that on top of the photos with color splattered on it. Now I have to be a little bit careful because I don't want to splatter it right on top of the people, but I have a lot of ultra transparency film, so if I mess up one page, it's not a big deal. The logical thing it would seem to use would be mist, but my experience with mist on transparency film is little droplets of it will dry eventually, but some of it dries very quickly, but large quantities of it may never dry. So I'm going to have to use paint. And that's what I'm going to do first. Before I do any more planning with the page or get out any more products, I'm going to try this concept out first thing. It will also take it a little while to dry, so I want to make sure that I get that done before I start working on the layout. So I have this. I'm going to get my box out and do the work inside the box. The 3 paints that I've pulled out to do this with are a couple of distress paints. I have some in the barn door and broken china. Colors, because these are a little bit of a thin paint, and I can also add some water to them if I want to thin them down even more. And this soft body from Liquitex is also a thin paint. Now I think I could do this with craft paint with enough water, but I've got these, so I'm going to work with these first. And in fact, I might even just put a little paint directly on the surface and then do a few little droplets. I don't know. I'm going to be playing a little bit. As I say, I have quite a bit of transparency film, so I can experiment and see what looks good for my arrangement. And then we'll get back to the regular layout part. Okay, I'm working inside a box, and I have put on a shirt over top of my regular clothes in case I get really wild here. I poured out a little bit of that red paint, and I'm going to add a little water to it. And take some on my brush and try to, let's see, I think I'm going to end up painting some of this on here. This is just on some scrap wrapping stuff just to have a place to put it. It's apparently going to need more water. Actually, you know, that is not a bad way of doing it. It's just putting it down and then adding the water and letting it sort of spread out. I kind of like that. Instead of trying to, I might do a little bit of splattering with the brush. That's kind of cool. Okay. So there's one blob of color. There's, I think, a little too much, though. Let's see if we can absorb some of this up. Let's say this is an experiment. Okay, let's go with just straight water. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this yellow paint. Woo! I got way too much. I know I've got way too much. And just play a little bit here. Alright, now let's try the blue. Just a teensy little drop here. Blue. Let's see if that turns into a color that we can do something with. Okay, I've got a lot of paint. And I have to see if that's going to dry and be some good colors for me. Okay, I have my piece done with the paint, and I can't tell you exactly how long it took this to dry because honestly I forgot about it. I checked it after about 3 hours or so, and it wasn't completely dry, and that's how I ended up with some of this yellow running over into the blue and up here when I picked it up. But it was partially dry. There were areas that were dry. I forgot about it the rest of that day. We were gone the next day, so it ended up being almost 48 hours, and it was definitely dry by then, so I don't think it took nearly that long. But still, it's created kind of an interesting piece here, and I'm really surprised I got this right on the first go-round. But I think I'm going to put this photo over here. This one is the one that's kind of not coming out in the right place, unless I maybe put him up here or down here, something like that. But I'm going to make that work because I really like this. I think this is kind of a fun, colorful piece here that goes with the, splotches, but you can still see this great background. Now I also want to maybe put a band in here or use some other papers on here because I've got to put my title someplace and some journaling and whatnot. So these are the rest of the papers in the collection, and you can see they're really, really bright. The stripe is a possibility, something that I might use to trim. This stripe I didn't really like so much because it had the navy in it. So this I'm going to save for other things. Some summery kind of things in there. Now if I use anything else in the collection, I thought I might do a little bit of this stripe and then a solid band in here to put the title on. That's a possibility. Maybe right through here above these two photos and below those. And then I need a place to put some journaling and decide on some other kind of fun embellishments. Okay, I've created a band by cutting 2 inches off of this and 1.5 inches off this green cardstock. And I'm just going to use this band here, probably underneath the paper. That. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to utilize some of my not so used letters and see if I can make the word that I want to make out of those. So, looking first at the sets that have the least letters left, and I snipped off this part of the @ symbol to just use the A, and then I realized that it would be kind of neat to do the whole thing, so I ended up sort of putting it back together. Try to get a good variety of colors here. So our title's going to spell splat with an exclamation point on the end. And then I'll just work on centering those letters. And I was planning to put the overlay on the top over everything, but the blue kind of goes over the letters, and I really decided I liked the title better on the top of the overlay. And I've still got to put some journaling on there, but first we're going to glue everything down. Got my photos glued down, and to do the overlay, I'm just putting a drop of glue behind the paint. And then when I glue the word strip across the title strip across the middle, that'll kind of hold everything together as well. Well, everything you've seen on the video up to this point was done over a year ago when I started creating this page, and for some reason I never finished it. I put it aside and I just had never completed it. So I've pulled it out, added the journaling with a little bit of color in there. My printer's running low on ink, you can see that, but I still managed to get a little bit of color, and I found this smile die cut, which I think this photo does need. Some smiles came out later, but this looks like this was made before all of the color started flowing, and I used the word paint, but I think they were actually doing chalk on this. But anyway, I need to add the date down here at the bottom, so let's make sure I've got a date and got it right side up. Yeah, that's good, except I don't want... Okay. Alright, let's do this. Nope, that's upside down. And we're going to slip it under here. Okay. Alright, so we've got a cute page with the overlay with all of this great color on it, and then lots of varied thickers to make a fun title, and got to use some great colorful paper as well. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you'll check out my other videos. Lots of videos out there. I recently did a shopping video for some stuff I got on Black Friday. There's some Christmas card video if you still need to make some Christmas cards. So anyway, we do lots of great things here on the channel, and if you're not a subscriber, I'd love to have you subscribe. Thanks so much. Bye now.